Welcome to Two Bees in a Pod. I am Bilola.
And I am B. Leonga, and this is a podcast about immigrant experiences in the U.S., sharing our perspectives on various topics.
Including straddling cultures, fitting in, staying connected, learning and unlearning the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Welcome back. This is our final episode of season 2 of Two Bees in a Pod and our final episode of 2024. So we're going to be recapping this season. And when I was going through to make the notes, I was like, wow, we really did a lot.
We did. It's been a long season of yap yap yap.
It has. It has. I was like, wow, we really did all of this, but
We
yeah.
started in June,
Mm-hmm.
and it's basically last week of November.
Mm-hmm.
So almost 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah, this is, if my calculations are correct, this is the 26th episode. Although we did replay, I think one or two old.
Yes. Yeah. But this
Yeah.
is the 26th. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you just started listening to us, if you listen once a week, we've given you a whole year of contents. 52 weeks.
We have of yapping. I need to go and calculate how many hours that
I
was.
was going to do that and I got distracted.
It's a lot. So this episode is going to be airing on Monday, December 2nd. So Thanksgiving would have just passed, and we're in the thick of the holiday season. So the icebreaker is, what's your favorite holiday memory?
We did this last year now.
We did. I have a bad
Yes.
memory, obviously.
I saw it today. I was like, let me think of it.
Let's switch it up then. What's your worst holiday memory?
I grew up Catholic, and so many a Holy Week was spent at church. It was not really a favorite growing up because Holy Week was tedious, man. Yeah, Palm Sunday. Then you started. There's like if you went to Stations of the Cross on morning mass, you had that going on. Then you had, I feel like starting Wednesday. There was something on Wednesday. I cannot remember why, but we went to church Wednesday. Then Thursday was Holy Thursday, Maundy Thursday. So you went to church for that, and it was pretty long. Friday, Good Friday service, usually at a minimum 3 hours, because we usually had to do Stations of the Cross outside before we went in for service. So it was usually like a good 3 to 6 p.m. And we had to fast. So hunger was already kicking you in the butt. Then Easter Vigil Mass. You go again before Easter Sunday. By Easter Sunday, yo, I was churched out, man.
That's your worst holiday memory? That's pretty,
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
It was a lot of churching, which is why by Easter Sunday, I was not really in a celebration mode. It was just a relief that I was done. So yeah, like I get Easter as like a celebration and it's supposed to be this big holiday, but I don't really have fun memories tied to Easter.
That's understandable. As a Baptist, I cannot relate. But I mean, I've said this on the podcast many times. I hate Christmas in America. I mean, probably the earlier ones were a lot worse. And, as time went on, they improved. But yeah, probably my worst, I don't know the year, but there was a time when I was in California, I was living with my aunt, and we like had a falling out. And it's that kind of thing where like you're a student, you don't have money, so you cannot, like leave your situation. And it was just, and then I was already depressed because of the holidays, and it was just, yeah. Not that, I mean, I just don't like Christmas, but that particular one was like horrible.
You brought back a very, very interesting memory from Christmas break when I was in grad school. I think everybody was working except me, each one a F1 champion. So I was home alone and like I really leaned into the sadness, which I'm prone to. But this particular holiday started the fact that I got served breakfast by text that same, like I was already going through it. Then
Wow. That, I mean, y'all really need to be aware of, like, read the room. You cannot be breaking up with people during the holiday season. Come on, guys. I mean, even ghosting is better at that point, but to actually like deliver the message, no.
No, now that you mention ghosting, like right after this breakfast, like maybe a week after, I went somewhere. My friend calls, say, "Hey, this person's been asking, should I give you a number?" So I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I mean, what's the cure for breakfast? You need to start another meal.
Mm-hmm.
So I start like we're talking. This was before the word ghosting came into lexicon. I got ghosted.
After how long?
Like a month? Just stop picking up the phone. No, no, nothing. Just stop picking up the phone. But then get this, like for the rest of that year, maybe every couple of months or so, they'll call, be like, hello. Like I have your number saved, right? So you call me, you're like, hello, hello. So like once I just like, are you too tired of doing this nonsense? And I just hung up.
Oh, I remember
Um,
you told this story. Yeah, in our
yeah.
relationship episode, you told this story.
Exactly. And so yeah, to this day though, when I run into this, I've only run into them like 2 or 3 times, but yeah, no, we're not gonna say hi. Like stay over there. Yeah.
I'm gonna go off on a tangent about that because I think I'm with you on that, in that we really believe in grudges, right? I mean, I do.
My cousin likes to call me childish. I've told her that sorry your best in maturity. Listen,
Mm-mm.
call me childish. I saw a meme today. It says, you don't have like, why do you go out of your way to be petty? It's like, no, it's not out of my way. It's just down the street.
Listen, taking
This
the
is
high ground is out
effortless.
of my way.
This is effortless. Like me and my block button, it's so easy. Like I even know shortcuts to access it now. It's not.
Bruh. Listen, I believe in holding grudges and burning bridges. Though I don't care how much time has passed, if you have not sufficiently made amends, even if it's a situation that could even be amended, if you haven't, forget
Mm.
it. Forget it. Like
I
time means
mean,
nothing.
I'm team forgive, don't forget because
No, I ain't
people
forgiving shit.
forgiveness is for me. It's not for you. That's the way I see forgiveness. And my version of forgiveness is when I see you and I feel nothing, I'm forgiving you. If I see you and I have feelings or
Mm-mm.
emotions, I don't want because I feel like you provoking the reaction out of me is me giving you power over me. So I want to get in all of my grudges, I just want to get to a place where you're nothing.
I get that, but I don't think that's still forgiveness.
I've forgiven myself for having feelings.
Exactly. That's the only person who is being forgiven in this situation
It's
is me to
me.
me.
It's
Me
me.
to me.
No. It's me. Forgiveness, closure, it's for me, not you. And I give it to myself. I tell people like it sucks, but you cannot wait for people to give you closure. You
Mm-mm.
have to give yourself closure because you're letting this other person control you, whether they know it or not. And so you have to sit with yourself, sit in it, cry, do what you gotta do. But at some point, you have to give yourself permission and grace to move on. Like, you're the only person who can give yourself closure.
Agreed. And I'm really like into this concept of thinking of yourself as like a friend, right? Like talking to yourself the way you would speak to a friend or somebody that you love very much, a sister. So that's how I think or speak to my past self, because when you look back and you're like, but why, did you get into this situation, or why did you allow this to go on for so long, or what? The same way that you would talk to your friend, like,
Mm.
it wasn't your fault, it's okay, move on, like your all of those like words of affirmation. Yeah, you just give that to your past self, but the enemy is for life.
I'm laughing because I've seen this meme going around recently where it says that a whole generation got fucked up because they say your feelings are valid. It's like, nah, bro.
Your feelings are always valid, your reactions are not. I think your feelings are always valid, but valid does not mean, I don't know how to explain, because you listen, feel what you want to feel, even if it's based in, insecurity and all of the other things that are going on, all your wounds, it's still a feeling. You cannot ignore it. That's, for me, that's what feelings are valid means. It's more of an acknowledgement. Doesn't mean that the way you react is valid. Like if I text
Yeah,
you
true.
and you
Okay.
don't answer for the whole day, if I feel ignored, if I
Ignored.
feel, yeah, undervalued. And I
You had
know
an
that, for
emergency.
example, or even no, for example, if you are traveling, you have a valid reason for not like answering my text, and I'm being irrational by, being upset with you when I know that you probably didn't have the opportunity to answer. My feelings are still valid, but I shouldn't
Yeah.
react to them,
And
right?
even if you don't know, right? Like you might be going through something and in that moment you need attention, but you never know what the other person is going through, especially if they've not shared with you. They could be dealing with something that they have not shared also. So it doesn't take away from your feelings of abandonment or whatever it is that you're
Mm-hmm.
feeling. But at the same time, I guess there's always room to give grace to the other person to ask them what was going on before. Um,
Yeah. No, feel everything in the world. I'm a proponent of feel, but there are some things that should be contained just within you and all of the personalities that live in your head.
or maybe
Don't.
your group chats. Don't feel and get on TikTok live or Instagram live
Yeah,
because I think
exactly.
I think that's where there's my favorite thing on TikTok these days is like somebody shares something and I come under and I hashtag bring back privacy because I need
For
us
real.
to like let's take some things back inside the house. I beg. It's not everything
Bring back journaling.
journaling or like your group chat. Like, don't, I mean, I know there are a lot of lonely people in the world currently, right? But don't people have friends, group chat, family chats? Like, some of these things that people share, like Miss Winnie.
We know that she's rage baiting us. That's the only conclusion I can come to.
I feel like she's part rage, but some people genuinely probably don't have anybody and they're so used to talking to their phones.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not against those people oversharing because I find it entertaining, and that's maybe a bad thing to
No,
say, but
there's
I
a
like it.
meme that says we should all know less about each other.
I want to know more. I want to know more about everybody, please. I love it. Anyway, so season two recap. I'm really proud of us because at the end of season one, we asked our, audience, our friends on Instagram, like, what would you like to see more of? And people said they liked the episodes where we have guests on. So for season two, we really set the intention to have more guests on, and I feel like we really delivered, like we came through
Yeah.
with that. So just to recap some of the people that we had on. We had on Helen Day, who spoke to us about African folklore. And by the way, she has a book coming out next year. So
Ooh.
go over to Mythological Africans and look that up. I don't know if it's available for pre order yet, but definitely keep an eye out on that. It's going to be a book, of course, about African folklore. We had on Teresa Mocho, who is the founder and CEO of Stud Model Project, and she was here during Pride Month. And we talked about her work. We talked about the Alphabet Mafia and how the Cameroonian community engages with that. I really enjoyed that episode. We had on Stefan Fusi, who is the CEO of Dream Big Snacks and Root Flavors, which are potato chip companies, and Dream Big Snacks operates in Cameroon. That was also a very inspiring episode. We had on Daniel Say, who is an immigration attorney here in the US, and he spoke to us about, immigration law and specifically how Black immigrants, are navigating this system. That'll be interesting to see how things change, come 2025. We had on Ashandoa Akwo, who is one of the founders of Mindqua, which is a mobile savings application in Cameroon. And we had on Anim Awe, who spoke to us about mental health and the work that she's doing with her sister. We had on Ozos Soko, Kitchen Butterfly, who spoke to us about West African cuisine.
We did a series on grief, which I think we started that as one episode and decided to make it a multi-part series. Maybe because a lot of people volunteered to come talk about, and sorry for those who were not able to get during the first series, but I think we'll run it
Mm-hmm.
back for season three because there's a lot of grief to go around, man.
Plenty.
And some unconventional, less conventional than others. And I think it was a good exploration into the different ways that we think about grief and how we manage grief. And so we had four guests for a grief series. We have Whitney Asaha, who talked about losing both her parents, but especially her mom, and some of the intricacies and how she handled her mother's estate, considering how young she was when her mother passed away. We had Nintendo, who talked about her experience with grief, losing her mom, and meeting and talking to her mother in her dreams, and using dreams to walk through grief. We had Sydney Gochi, my friend Sydney Gochi, who talked about losing his wife and his walk with grief and how he has managed that. I think that was probably one of our highest shared and viewed episodes. Probably because Sydney is a cool cat around town, but also because of the way that he lost his wife. I think a lot of people were curious to know how he was doing,
Mm,
and this was an opportunity for everybody to kind of listen to that and hear without, necessarily having to call him and ask him those questions.
mm,
And then we had Josiane, who shared her experience with pregnancy loss and just, we talk about Black maternal mortality rates in the US, but having her share a first-hand experience was, it's really, I can't find the word, touching, not jarring, because, you hear statistics, but somebody sharing that first-hand experience, especially like doctors not listening to her, was was interesting. Not, I'm looking for a word because interesting feels like it's just
mm.
it's not
Insightful.
insightful. That's the word. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was really insightful. And I think a big thing is just learn to advocate for yourself, and also if you don't have any friends or family in the healthcare field, you might want to tap, and start looking for one. Because I can speak from experience, which I had with pre-eclampsia. My cousin, who's an OBGYN, everything the doctor said was ran through her. At every point in time, it was just fact check, confirm this is okay, make sure that we're good, because your doctor might have a bajillion patients and you're just the patient to them, whereas like your person is looking out for you because you matter to them. So
Exactly.
yes, after grief, we had Flo Ngala, who talked about her work as a photojournalist. I also enjoyed talking about Makossa, which is my favorite genre of music. And then we had Anna Foncha and Dr. Nina Loom talking about cervical cancer, which, as much as I thought I knew about HPV, I am working towards starting my HPV vaccine. I feel like I got one before, but because of the episode, it's given me more things to talk about with my OB and ask questions. So yeah,
Nice.
it's been an interesting. I think we covered a lot of topics, a wide
Mm-hmm.
variety of topics, but things that touch our community in different ways.
Yeah, agree. Like, and I didn't realize until I was like putting the notes together. I'm like, wow, we had like such a wide variety,
Right.
and like all the guests were so amazing. Like, I mean, experts in whether it was their experience or their field. And yeah, I took away like so many lessons from each episode. The grief series, like I've got a lot of great like responses. We got a lot of great responses from that series. Like people were really touched. A couple of people like told me they cried listening to Josiane's
Yeah.
episode and just the whole series in general. Like you said, we got an amazing response, like people wanting to come and speak. Some people wanted to come and speak, but they were shy. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
is it going to be on camera? So hopefully, in a few months, like if you're so interested, build up the courage. Again, we'll do another run in season 3 because there's so many different kinds of grief. We still haven't talked about like divorce,
Yes.
relationships ending, career, leaving behind careers and things like that. There's so many
I
types
mean,
of grief.
moving away from home.
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk
Yeah,
about that because I mean we went to boarding school, but
we're used
I
to.
think
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, it's been such a fun, like, interesting season. So, what were your biggest takeaways? Like, if you could single out like an overarching theme from everybody who has come and shared, I have one.
What is
I
yours?
think for me, an overarching theme I think that all of our guests shared was that if there's something that you are looking for in the world, you're the one who has to give it to the world. You know what I mean? Like, even whether I was the entrepreneurs like Stephen, Fusi, Teresa, Ashangoa, Akwa, like everybody who created something, Helen, they were desiring, whether it was an app, whether it was potato chips, storytelling, a space for queer Black women, like they desired to see that and they didn't see it in their world and they desired that they went out and created it. So that was my takeaway. And I think it crosses over even into the grief series because I think it was Josiane who said when she was going through her experience, she did not see Black women, on
Sharing.
social media sharing. That's what inspired her to come and share. And she even talked about like forming community with other mothers in the NICU.
Yeah.
So yeah, whether it's like creating a product, a space, or whatever it is, if there's something that you are desiring to see in the world, then I think that's a call. That's the universe telling you that you're the person who should create that. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist anywhere, but if it doesn't exist in a space that's accessible to you, then make that space so that it's accessible to other people like you. Because if you desire something, I guarantee you somebody else out in the world also wants that and will benefit from you. So that,
Yeah.
for me, that's the overarching theme that I think I got.
I think, yeah, mine is basically same thing in the sense of all the guests who accepted to join us shared stories that, other people could learn from, be it your entrepreneurship journey, things that they've learned on their way. There are people who will learn from those stories or the experiences with grief, and just everything they shared was just, you never know who you're going to influence by sharing your story. So don't be shy and, share.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's no bias on this podcast, but do you have I don't want to call it a favorite episode, but let's say a most moving or the one that, what's an episode that really left you thinking? You carried it after we got off the mic and.
Is the grief series. I
Mm,
can't pick the episode. I think in every one of them, there was something. So, because I knew Whitney, I grew up with Whitney, but it was like the first time hearing her talk about what that process and that journey was like for her was definitely eye opening. And I don't remember which it was, the episode with Ning. That was, I didn't know you had lost your sister. And so it was in
mm,
that episode that I found out that you had lost your sister. And then in Sydney's episode, like Sydney and I are friends, and I basically, our friendship, like we got closer after his wife passed away, kind of because I showed up somewhat. But even with us like talking and laughing through the last couple of years, this was like the first time where he was like walking through the process of things that he has done. Like we talk almost every other day, but like having him just sit down and narrate it, because that's not a conversation that we've really had in depth, was an eye opener. And then listening to Josiane made me think back about my own experience with
mm,
preeclampsia and just how lucky I was, because I know Christians like to do, God did it for me, but I feel like it's luck. It's a draw of numbers, because there are people who pray every day through their pregnancy and they don't make it to the other side.
mm,
Um, and sometimes the combination of luck, doctors who listen, family paying attention, when I was going through like postpartum, I'd heard about women having strokes, right? Postpartum. And so
mm,
I kept saying, look at my face. Like, do you see one side drooping? That was like, I was so hung up on like the drooping. I didn't even know. In my head, when they say something is pre, it's like it should happen before, right? So I'm like, what? I've had the baby. Why am I having pre-eclampsia like this? I remember hearing my mom telling somebody that, she said, I heard her say she almost died. Nah, African mother, that's an exaggeration. Then, like a week later, I went to my hairdresser. Her cousin died of pre-eclampsia that week. So I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe. So having, Josiane had such a harrowing experience,
mm.
especially like with the ectopic pregnancy and having to lose one of her
And two.
Fallopian
Fallopian tube.
tubes. That is just like the extreme. I mean, she's alive. We're very thankful, but that's also an extreme consequence of people just because people did not listen to her.
Agree. I think that whole series for me, like, yeah, like you said, I cannot pick a single episode, but the series it was really moving. Like I really enjoyed the one with Ning, just because I've heard her
It,
story before, but I had not heard all of the like smaller details, like especially
details,
when she was younger. I didn't know that she had all of these like she was having these spiritual,
premonitions.
yeah, these experiences. I had no clue, and we were very close throughout like
Yeah.
primary school all the way through like secondary school. So yeah, that was really eye opening for me. And yeah, I just, as you know, I'm really into that woo woo shit. So when people are talking about it, I'm like, yes, tell me more. Like I love it so much. Yeah, and then just that kind of weird connection of her mom and my dad
And your
dying within
dad,
like
yes,
24 hours.
days.
But it was within a day, she said.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that also, I texted her afterwards. I'm like, that was so healing for me in a way that I cannot like even tell you. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that episode.
Hey, I have to give honorable mention to our post-election episode.
Bruh, the crash out episode.
Every time I watch that reel on Instagram, I burst out laughing. It's like, it's like,
Just
if it's
going
like, give
in.
that video no context. Like, just give that to somebody on mute with no context. They could tell, like, we were not happy, and it's just like, so yeah.
Um, and then Anna's episode as well, when we had Anna and Dr. Nina on talking about like her story was just so,
Yeah.
moving. Obviously, it's a horrible situation, but how certain things just lined up for her, like she was saying
Yeah.
with the fertility clinic and getting grants and the timing and, the doctors who, took care of her. I found it interesting that she spoke so highly of her team, right? Like her healthcare team, all the doctors and nurses who are taking care of her, which is great. I'm glad that she had such a good experience and a good team on her side. But in the past, like we have spoken about how Black women oftentimes have, it's usually related to, maternal health care, but in general, not
Yeah.
so great experiences, right, in the healthcare system. So I found that really interesting. And I was so glad to hear that she had a good experience and she felt like she had a team that was really, invested in
I
her
mean,
personally.
not all skin folk is kinfolk, but could it be because it was Atlanta and there's a huge, not only Black American but also Black diaspora population, which
Could be.
maybe could lead to slightly better outcomes.
Yeah, could be. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe just I don't know anything about like how oncology,
Intelligence.
care. Maybe it's different.
Yeah.
But to your point, like how you were saying about, having a family member or friend that you can kind of get a second opinion on when you're going through certain things. I'm sure there are healthcare workers listening to that and you don't like it and you find it annoying, but you have to understand from the point of view of the patients. A lot of times we feel like a number. We feel like a number. We spoke on that episode with Josiane how nurses are mean a lot of times. Like they don't take the time to explain things to you. Like you say that you're in pain and they're dismissing it. You say that something is not right and they're sending you home and telling you to come back again. So if you are somebody in healthcare and you're listening to that, I mean, it should be, don't get defensive. It should be a call in for you to take to your colleagues and kind of pass that knowledge. A lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
Okay. We also started our book of the month
Ooh, we read.
series at the beginning of the year. So we read a lot of books, which I'm so glad that we were doing this because it forced me to read because I'm somebody who I'm reading 3 books at the same time. Like I'll start one, read a couple of chapters, see another one that I'm interested in. I order it online, it comes, I start reading it. I walk by my bookshelf, I'm like, oh wait, I haven't read this
Mm-mm.
one, pick it up.
No, no.
So this series, the book of the month now forces me. I have a deadline that I have to finish the book by.
I mean, yeah, it has forced me, mostly because, as you know, as I've said, I'm a romance girly. So some of the non-romance books I've had to listen to audiobooks at 1.75 speed. Do what it takes, do whatever it takes. So like if I'm driving, I can listen. The last two books, unfortunately, were not available. I had to read the hard copy, which took some discipline because my ADHD self, read one page on Libby, play Tetris, scroll TikTok, go back. So yes, I think the best part about the book of the month is it allowed me to read things that I would normally typically not read because as I told you today, I was watching Gladiators and I now realize how much romance has done to my brain because I swear if I had written the movie, it would have I would have wrapped it up nicely with a bow. Like it's supposed to be. I cannot tell you how many books I've read since election day. Since I've shut down a lot of the world, TikTok, Twitter, I have been reading. But I think that maybe I need to like read one non-romance book every now and again just
Yes,
so that I don't think that the real
to
life.
recalibrate your brain.
I mean, I enjoy it though. Like it's so mindless, and like I can shut out the world and just live in this imaginary place where all problems get solved, and the protagonists are always going to end up living happily ever after.
I mean, I see it. I see it. It's a nice escape.
I mean, I'm not getting happily ever after here. Might as well get it.
Show ain't. Okay, so I'll just really quickly run through the books that we read this year. We started with Behold the Dreamers by Imbolo, and then that was in January. In February, we had Chain Gang All Stars by Nana Kwame Ajebrinya. I think I remember you saying that was a really difficult read for you. That was a tough read, but it was good. And
I might
then,
need to read it again since that might be reality.
hey, listen, it was a prophecy. Oh. It was a prophecy. It was not fiction. In March, we read Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola, and we were a bit harsh on that book. We were a little bit harsh. I was in my review. It was a bit
I did.
sickening for me.
It was my second time reading it. It didn't hit like the first time. I saw too many plot holes the second time around. I don't know
Yeah.
why. Maybe it's because I read it before, but yeah.
Yeah, it was making me gag. It was too sweet. And
I
then
think
we
my
took,
own thing at that point was like I started poking holes because I'm like, well, do they really talk like this in British universe? It was a lot of Twitter slang for me.
mm,
Where now I'm like, is this like typical of British universities, or is this because we all live in the same place since we're all chronically online?
yeah, and there were some parts that I just thought were a little bit over explaining. Anyway, we took a break and then when we came back in June, and our June book of the month was Under the Udala Trees by Chinelo Okparanta. I love that book.
I love this book. I loved it the
Mhm.
first time. I loved it the second time around.
And then we had Travelers by Helon Habila. That's one of my favorite authors. I really liked that book as well.
I
Butter
did.
Honey Pig Bread by Francesca Ekwuyazi.
I really enjoyed this book. And
Yes,
I'd read it before, but somehow I still read it like it was my very first time. If I had to pick a favorite, I think that might be the one.
it's definitely my top three for sure. And
Yes,
then
okay.
My Sister, the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. I think I said that was I finished that book the fastest. I mean, I couldn't put that book down. It was so captivating. I really enjoyed that one. It was really, really entertaining. And you really get
If
invested in the characters.
if I meet that day in real life, we are fighting. Cause like, are you a fool?
Listen, slap. And then we had a Cameroonian classic, which was The Crown of Thorns by Linus Asong, one of my all-time favorite novels. And our last book of the year was Arrow of God by Chinua Achebe. That's a Nigerian classic.
Yeah.
So, what's your top three?
Butter, honey, pig bread, my sister, the serial killer, and crown of thorns. I don't think I'd read Crown of Thorns since Form 4 or 5.
I would, that would probably be my top three, but I'm gonna remove Crown of Thorns because I feel like it's not fair. I can't include it because it's again one of my all-time favorite novels. So my top three, I would say Butter, Honey, Pig Bread, My Sister is Serial Killer, and Under the Udala Trees. Not in any specific order. Those were just
Yeah,
the top
mine is
three.
not in any specific. I want to give it tie so I can add one more because I do want to add Travelers. That I wasn't expecting, and I really enjoyed that.
I enjoyed that. It was not a fast moving plot,
Yeah.
but it was nice. I really liked the
It
story.
was nice, and like trying to make the connections also. That like at the end where you saw all the connections, I think that was really good because you didn't really tell at the start that their lives were interwoven the way they were. Although Travelers helped unlock a fear of losing your passport.
I agree. I agree. If you haven't read that book, there's a scene, I mean, just the worst case scenario. I'm not even going to go into details, but a traveler's nightmare happened. Not only a traveler's night, an immigrant's nightmare. Yeah.
Hey God, I can imagine with my let's not. But I mean, today I was thinking maybe I need a copy of my passport and naturalization certificate to keep in my wallet, for the future. I did that in 2017. I had a copy of my green card in my wallet in 2017.
I probably should because I think now in Texas, if you go to the hospital, is it the hospital or the ER? They can ask
I
you,
think it's
right?
hospital.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea to have it on you because we're living in the end times. So the audience, we want to hear from you what you loved about this season and some things that, you think we can do better. This is giving very much corporate end of year review.
I mean, for the audience, if you're listening, I asked a few weeks ago for, if you've ever been in an ethical, non-monogamous relationship, we would love to talk to you. And if you're shy, we have a form on our link tree. You can write in, we'll share your story. Or if we also have a thing, SpeakPipe, so you can record a message for us. Like, we'd love to hear your story because when I shared it in Nanga said, well, there are a lot of people who are in non-ethical, non-monogamous relationships, aka you're all being cheated on, you just don't know.
I mean, listen, a good majority or a good portion of our audience is Cameroonian. And your question was, yes, do I know any? You asked specifically about Cameroonians, and I said they are in polyamorous relationships, but involuntarily. That was my response. So if you're looking for the people who are aware and voluntarily in polyam, you're gonna have a problem. Now, involuntary, there are plenty.
When we did the episode where we talked about money, like sending money home to build, and a friend who's in Cameroon said it was good that her colleague was experiencing the same thing. Basically, he took a loan to build a house and his wife was project manager. Sis built 2 houses with the money, one in her name and one for the family. The better one was in her name.
Hey, I mean, that's a smart woman.
She invested the money now. She didn't buy bags, she didn't buy wigs. Like, she built a house. Like, we should
What's the problem?
But he found out by mistake. So now she said he was trying to figure it out. I said, I don't think they should stay together for this level of duplicity, though, because it's giving one can kill the other. She's like, that the wife came to the office to create a scene the other day looking for him. The man had been on leave for 2 weeks.
Sis, you got your house.
I said, no, that this man has a lot of stories. I said, you should come and talk to us now. I mean, sharing is caring. I'm not trying to make light of his life, but he could be helping somebody out there, another woman, another entrepreneurial woman out there who needs inspiration.
I think I want to talk to the wife. Why do you want to talk to him? First of all, she sounds like she's a very financially capable
Astute
woman because
woman.
you gave her money to build one house and she built two houses. Are you mad? You should be asking her for advice. Why are you angry with her? She literally doubled your money. What are you talking about? Sis, we need you on the podcast, please. Anyway, yeah, so audience, if there's, things that you would like to see next season that we didn't do, areas of opportunity and things that we did well, give us our end of year review as per corporate America. All right. For me, what I think we did well is that, like I said, we set out with the intention of having more
Getting
guests.
guests.
And we did that. And honestly, like those were, don't get me wrong, I love to sit here and yap. But the episodes where we had guests, like I think I probably enjoyed them more. I was better prepared. Yeah, I feel like when it's just us coming, I'm like, it's just us now. We'll just vibe, go with the flow. But when we have guests, we're researching about the person, about the topic. We're sending out the questions in advance, like we're preparing, like we're really, being professional podcasters. And I love that because, yeah, like I said, not only did I learn a lot during the episode, but in advance in preparation for the episode, whenever we had a guest, I felt like it was a really good learning experience. So I think we did that well.
To piggyback on that, I was given feedback that you make a very good driver when we have guests with the questions and being able to ask follow-up questions. Because for those who are wondering, I know a lot of you guys have asked, nobody has asked me, why Nanga always asks the questions. She's a much better interviewer, like thinking of, like, even though we have questions that we send out, usually when we're recording, like she can think on the spot, like ask a follow-up question. And yeah, she does a much better job at it, which is why she drives it. And so they said they would love to see you host many more panels in the future.
Wow. Thank you for that feedback. But I think you just get in your head too much.
We've talked about this.
You just get in your head too much. Like I think you can do it just as well, but you're overthinking.
It is what it is. Yeah, so.
Okay, areas of opportunity.
I don't know how to fix this. They said we should speak faster. I drag my words, and so that's
okay. First of all, whoever gave that feedback on whatever platform you're listening to, I know that there's a 1.5x and there's a 2x speed.
So basically, it was like, why can't we talk like that on the regular? I'm like, that's not how I'm set up.
It's not natural.
Some people do though. There are people on TikTok that I try to put on 1.5 and I put it back to 1 because I can't.
Yeah,
some people
you're right
speak
about
fast.
that. Yeah,
I can't. I'm not one of them.
no,
So,
please.
I mean, it'll be nice for us to not go off on so many tangents, but I feel like tangents are like, the essence.
Yeah.
They add a little Jenga country onion to the
no.
one.
I love the tangents. Yeah, no, I just think again, like when we don't have a guest, we could be a little bit, better prepared. I feel like when we don't have a guest, especially this season, because we've had so many guests, and the episodes when we don't have guests, like we're just ready to just
relax. It's like, just relaxing, not every time formal discussion. But I mean, like, we've been doing this, 52 episodes now. Hopefully we can get our listeners to, make it more interactive so people could send in questions beforehand.
Agreed. So maybe we'll put out like the topic in advance and then people can write in, questions or opinions. Yeah. Okay. That's a good. And I see other podcasts doing that and I really enjoy it because they're like reading and it's usually some kind of hot tea that they're reading. I'm like, yes.
I mean, we are very level-headed people. Come to us. We'll solve your problems.
I mean, so again, by the time this episode comes out, Thanksgiving would have passed. We're, gearing up for Christmas and I hate Christmas, but this year I'm actually not going to be in America. So I'm actually looking forward to Christmas this year because I'm trying something different because I'm like, bro, I can already feel myself getting depressed. I'm trying something different this year.
We're going to Sun and Sun.
Not Sun and Sun. It'll be a city, but it'll be, a very cultural experience. Yeah. Not the beach, but it's
I
not in
haven't
America, and that's all that matters, honestly.
I haven't planned that far ahead.
Okay.
No, this week this week has showed me Pepe. By the time this episode airs, I don't even know if I should confess on the air, but the wedding would have happened. So my friend is getting married this weekend. I was on a wedding website. I RSVP'd. Why did I find out last week, Thursday or Wednesday, that it wasn't just the traditional wedding, that there's a wedding ceremony on Saturday. I RSVP'd for said ceremony.
Wait, you thought you were just coming for a traditional wedding?
Because
I bet what's the issue?
then I was like, I don't have a dress. I
Girl,
thought,
bye. Girl, bye.
no,
Black Friday sales have started.
I'd also planned to come back home the next day. Then I went to order the dress. I ordered the wrong size. Yo, I don't know what is going on. I'm going through something. I'll send good vibes. I don't know if
Okay.
it's 4:30 p.m. darkness that is kicking me, but yeah, I've been going through it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I've been feeling a touch of seasonal depression, just here and there. And yeah, so I've been trying to like really be intentional about maintaining my exercise routine because it gets dark so fast and I would usually go for a walk. So if I cannot make it out in time, I'm like, bro, I have to do something else to get that.
What time? What time does it get dark? 5:30?
By 5:30, yeah.
I could leave the house at 3:30 and say on the day the sun is out. And I'm telling myself, you have an hour to get this thing done. 4:30 is pitch black. This is my 5th year or 6th even experiencing this, and it still doesn't make sense why it's dark at 4:30.
I know it's so like it's such a shocking change. And like you never get over it, no matter how often or how many years you've been experiencing it. I'm like, it's just not natural.
It makes no sense. It's so yeah, I keep saying it. I really need to get back to taking my vitamin D and like finding happy things because it's going to be me and the blues.
Yeah, I'm really trying hard not to, and I could already feel it. I could feel it coming this week. I'm like, oh my God, here we go.
Told you, the risings have been made. I need the rising, rise from Mukonje to Bamenda or something.
Yeah, so I mean, if there's anybody else experiencing seasonal depression or holiday blues, my antidote is moving your body in any way that you can, get some exercise, whether that is in a gym, put on a YouTube video and, get in a dance workout or yoga or Pilates, do something. That always seems to release some endorphins for me. Yeah.
That was directed at me. I need to do that.
And then again, we're going to be taking a break. I don't foresee us coming back before the rapist in chief of the US is inaugurated
Oh
on
no.
January 20th. So, best of luck, to the people living in America. He has started appointing his cabinet, and we can already see the pure chaos. The pure chaos that's going to be the next 4 years. So, enjoy this Christmas, enjoy it very well because we really don't know what's to come.
So, on one hand, nothing might get done. I don't know if that's good or bad because they've taken 3 people out of Congress already, and I think they had like a 218 and Democrats had like 213, and there's like a few races that are kind of close. I know there's like California's 45th congressional district, which is Orange County. Derek Tran has like a 500 vote lead over Michelle Steele as of today. And they're
You're
like
still following
98.
races.
It's
Yeah,
TikTok.
you're still following races.
But no. The bigger point, the races are actually interesting because it's crazy how many of these down ballot races were won, and like neither here nor there. But at least it's going to be so close, and these people they're not going to get anything done because they're going to be fighting. They're going to be
And
fighting.
I was listening to one of my astrology podcasts today, and they were saying like Trump is kind of the person who he wants to have power, but he doesn't necessarily enjoy like the work of
Of course,
leadership. You know what I mean? He just
we
likes
been
the
knew
position.
this. We been knew this.
And you know who else I think is like that? I think Elon Musk kind of shares that characteristic with him. Like they love the spotlight. They love being in positions of power, but the actual day-to-day like work of leading, whether it's a company or a country, they actually don't enjoy that part. Yeah. So it will be interesting to see how that manifests in the next 4 years. And I think that's why he's so like erratic and crazy because he really does not want to be there. He likes the power. That's why he does all this crazy
He's
shit just
going
to
to be
entertain himself.
golfing. He's going to be
Yeah.
golfing and sucking, taking money to pay for the secrets, billing the Secret Service for every and anything that they can build them for. But it's just watching. This week, they took people. I said I wasn't watching politics. Senators went to go watch a launch at SpaceX, and there were less Republicans in the Senate than Democrats, so they pushed through a bunch of nominations, federal judge nominations, which are lifetime appointments. Which, as somebody explained, that why this matters is the Supreme Court maybe gets thousands of cases, and they will hear maybe 80 of them. And so all of the cases they reject get pushed back to these lower courts. And so
Hmm.
who is there matters. And so I think they said in his first term, Trump pushed through 234. And if all goes well, the Biden administration would have pushed through 236.
I mean, I hope that makes a difference in
It
however
does
way.
because they were giving examples on like one of the TikTok videos, like examples where it worked in Trump's favor with Eileen Cannon in Florida, who threw out the case from him stealing the documents.
Mm.
And that was his appointee. And so, yeah.
Okay.
Which, fun fact, his sister, Trump's sister, was a federal judge who was appointed by Bill Clinton.
That is a fun fact. All right. Well, yeah. So we'll see you guys when we see you. But in the meantime, if you're listening to this podcast and you're not following us on Instagram, baby, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, follow us on Instagram at 2bspod, subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast listening platform. We'll be posting contents on, IG while we're away, clips from different episodes and engaging with you guys. And we want to hear what you want to see and what you want to hear in season 3. So definitely stay in touch.
And I mean, we make very good Christmas gifts. One, we're free. While you're hanging out with your family this holiday, what better gift than to play an episode of Two Bees in a Pod when the children have gone to sleep because we do be
Thank
cussing.
you. Thank you for adding that. Yeah. No, this is PG. What would you rate this? No, it's
PG
16.
grown.
16 and over. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I think
R.
so. R is 16
Or
and
16.
over.
No. I think R is 18.
R is
I don't
18.
know.
I think we're 16 and over.
Okay, yeah.
Kids be grown these days, so there's nothing that
They
16
do.
year old doesn't know. So they can
And
listen. All right. Until next time.
one hand no the tie bundle, which means one hand cannot tie. What's a bundle?
A bundle. Or one hand cannot tie a knot, basically.
A knot.
Mm-hmm.
We all need each other. Like, whether you like it or not, we are human beings. We are communal beings. We live in communities, and we have to work together.
Agree. And I know that, we expressed, in our post-election episode that there was a lot of disappointment, there was a lot of anger, right, at the results of the election, but also realizing that people that you thought you were in solidarity with, may not
In
have,
solidarity with you.
yeah, they did not show true
They didn't think
solidarity.
about you, yeah.
And I know that we're really angry during that episode, and maybe I know for one, I came off as a bit individualistic. So maybe I'll edit my message to say that, find your people, right? Find the people who share the same values as you. Those are the people that you want to be in community with. That's the only way that we're going to survive whatever 2025 and beyond has for us. Find your people, be in community with them, and again, I'll repeat the message that all of our guests have taught me this season, which is that if there's something that you're looking for out in the universe, in the world, if you're looking for something and you don't see it, that is a calling for you to create that thing. So find the people who are looking for that same thing and create it together. All right. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. All of the things. Kwanzaa. Whatever you celebrate. Happy
Winter
2025.
solstice.
Yes, winter. Remember, okay, I was gonna go off on a tangent, but it's okay.
What? Winter sol Isn't winter solstice December 21st?
21st it is.
Yeah.
And if you're making New Year resolutions, know that January 1 is not the natural start of the new year. I'm not saying that you should not make resolutions, but we save the important ones for the spring equinox, which will actually be in March. That's
Okay.
the natural start of the new year.
So all those new year, new me, new gym. Wait until March.
Yeah, you can start practicing in January on January 1, but you'll start manifesting in March.